Brainrot is kind of cringe, right? Wrong. Although its name might come from the fact that it's so mind-numbingly simple to understand it rots your brain, it has become an essential part of modern internet humor. Unfortunately, it has been given the irreversible label of being cringe, doomed to rot in some place like YouTube Shorts forever. But I'm here to defend it. Brainrot and cringe are vital to the internet's humor economy, and without them, everything else would crumble. Not only that, this emergence of brainrot isn't as new and awful as you might think. It's kind of always existed. Even further than that, brainrot ties together a personal theory I have about how internet humor has formed and how it will form in the future. This isn't just some dancing chicken nugget or yapping toilet, okay? This is just as important as the US Constitution. It all starts with the yin and yang. Who am I kidding? Who am I? I'm talking about a children's meme here. No, okay, but seriously, you ever heard the saying, you can't have any highs without any lows, that you can't have happiness without sadness? Well, it's kind of like that, you know? You can't appreciate good memes without knowing bad ones, without knowing cringy ones, and that's kind of the role brainrot serves. But it goes even further than that. Brainrot is nowhere near the original cringe, and not even a popular format at that. I mean, if you want to see real cringe, just go on anime TikTok cosplay from like 2020, and you'll see what I really mean. Or even better, go to Facebook and look at some shitty minion memes. Like, those are the real cringe. See, brainrot is just another category of cringe. It's like the same sentence in a new font, if that makes sense. And I mean, we can go way back if we want to see even more cringe. Let's go back to the 2000s, for example. Admittedly, these memes aren't good, right? No one goes around sending Doge memes to their friends as a genuine celebration of humor. They either remix it or quote it ironically, which more on that later. But these are just kind of old and boring. Now, hold on. I've basically just told you brainrot could be replaced with older cringe. Am I stupid or something? Now here's the thing, humor is a constantly evolving mess, especially on the internet. In fact, I loathe to see the day where I'm old enough that I can't keep up to date with all the amazing memes like this. So to understand why brainrot is needed, we first need to look at something I like to call the post-ironic singularity point. I would say up to a point, memes had a fairly simple cycle. A new image would be found, it would be spammed and captioned a bunch, and it would inevitably die. I mean, look at Surprise Pikachu. This was huge for its time, and now you just don't see it anymore, unless it's like on Twitter for some engagement baiting or something. This cycle was all well and dandy until the post-ironic singularity point, a point that I don't know the exact date of, but was basically when all of humor collapsed in on itself. This was a time when humor didn't really make any sense anymore. You don't know if people were quoting it ironically, not ironically, post-ironically. Okay, humor has never really recovered from this. I mean, think about it. What's the last meme format that genuinely took the internet by storm, that was spammed for like more than 2 weeks at a time? You probably can't name one, right? I mean, okay, maybe the Ninja Low Taper Fade meme. I mean, that's still massive. No, but seriously, I mean, this kind of stuff is rare. It still exists, you know, trends like making fun of Ninja for dragging the meme still exist, but they don't exist for longer than like 2 weeks. There just simply isn't something as Wholesome 100. If you know what I mean. Okay, but to explain post-irony, we can look at this compass, which is, very simple to you know what? In fact, I'm gonna let the viewer, I'm gonna leave this as an exercise for the viewer to take apart and understand, because, you know, I already understand it. Yeah, you guys have fun with this. Seriously though, to my understanding, it's basically just so many layers of irony and non-irony that it becomes so confusing it's kind of funny. For instance, you make a troll face meme and you make it sound like you're ironically using it, but you actually think it's funny. Does that make sense? Arguably, most memes have stayed like this today, with some exceptions of memes venturing into the deep, dark unknown of being meta-ironic, which, yeah, I don't even know what that means. Look, the point is, memes are all over the place today. They're wacky, they're absurd, and this point just kind of marked a point when memes were no longer restricted, when everything and anything could be funny again. Now, brainrot plays an important part in this careful ecosystem of memes today. Memes that I would categorize as the following: a weird amalgamation of post-irony, something that's clever, and funny TikToks. That's about it. Like I said earlier, memes are re-simplifying to just becoming reaction images, like GIFs on Discord or text over silly or weird images. It's almost like we're regressing back to the inception of memes. Maybe, you know, memes are just gonna be a big circle, like the rest of history. I mean, who knows? These kinds of memes can even be explained as a sort of iceberg, which, as much as I hate using that term, it kind of fits in this way. At the top, we have funny TikToks. Anyone can appreciate a funny TikTok, and since there's so much content on that site, you can pretty much find anything for anyone. More on that later. But yeah, there's pretty much a ton of funny TikToks that are applicable to a bunch of people. Next, we have clever jokes/skits, which in TikTok terms is just that one rare TikTok you see that actually makes you like chortle out loud, you know? The funny stuff. It's slightly more niche than just a funny TikTok. It's like a real funny TikTok, you know, mythic FY people. Finally, we have the real Einsteins, the Rick friends, those who laugh at lively clips. Post-ironic memes. I mean, try explaining the layers of complexity, irony, and humor in like a fucking hood irony clip to your family doctor. Good luck. Now, I don't want to sound like the guy who made the Rick and Morty copy pasta, you know, memes are memes. You don't need to be some deep intellect to appreciate them. You don't need the IQ of Rick Sanchez to laugh at someone being cringe online, but these are more niche, at least compared to the other ones. The truth is, alongside the evolution of memes, cringe has evolved too. Don't get me wrong, traditional cringe is still very prevalent thanks to sites like TikTok and teenagers with unmoderated access to it during a time when everyone is locked indoors. But how do you make the low-level iceberg users cringe? In comes Brainrot. Not only is Brainrot originally cringe, anyone over the age of 12 can tell you that, but it's perfectly usable in this post-ironic sense. I mean, it isn't as fun today to bring up Surprise Pikachu as it is to just look at your friend and say, what the Sigma over and over. Brainrot is simple and clear, something someone can look at and see, yup, this person means this in a completely non-ironic sense. Let's laugh at how cringe that is. It's like the perfect puzzle piece the internet has been seeking for so long. Now, another large argument I see against Brainrot is how it is genuinely rotting the brains of young children. I think that is probably not true, but yeah, I don't know. Don't quote me, okay? I'm just some guy on YouTube who likes yapping. I'm not some pediatric neuroscientist or something like that. But I do have evidence and examples. I mean, all we have to look at is the MLG meme era, which, by the way, is a pretty popular comparison. I, like a lot of my friends, grew up on this stuff. I mean, Pyrocynical is one of the first channels that come to mind. Now that I'm a wise adult, looking at it now, yeah, it's kind of stupid, and it's cringe by today's standards. Maybe even as stupid as Brainrot. That's up for you to decide. I see some people argue, though, that the difference between MLG and Brainrot is that MLG was used ironically back then, which it was, but I think anyone who makes Brainrot jokes these days, you know, also does it ironically. I hope. But if we look past irony and look at the actual intended audience, children, it probably doesn't matter. I don't think watching some silly singing toilet or dancing chicken nugget is really going to rot your brain. Now, on the other hand, scrolling TikTok and YouTube endlessly, that's a different story. Who knows what's gonna happen because of that? But I mean, it's really no different than just a stupid cartoon, which, I mean, I watched a lot of stupid cartoons growing up, you know? I even watched YouTube poops and deep fried memes, which weren't used ironically and are basically the equivalent of Brainrot for when I was 10. And I mean, look at me. I'm totally fine. Now my theory for what Brainrot could mean for the future of online humor. I like to think that more prevalent now than ever, there is a disconnect in memes. For example, the Hawk Tuah girl. I think I speak for most of Gen Z when I say that you only learned about Hawk Tuah once it was getting like f***ing news coverage, and I mean, I don't really regret not knowing about it sooner. It doesn't exactly make me belly laugh whenever I see it. But anyways, those who saw the Hawk Tuah clip and made it go viral are probably the furthest intended audience from Brainrot and post-ironic memes. Thus, I would like to introduce the concept of humor circles. The name is just a placeholder. Now listen, different humor for different people isn't something that I came up with. I mean, I even kind of hinted to it earlier with Facebook minion memes, but I find it interesting that people on the exact same platform can have completely different memes and different humor. I mean, millennials were online first, so that can explain their awful different humor since they use different platforms. I genuinely thought, though, that Gen Alpha would pick up the same humor as Gen Z, but that's clearly not the case with the emergence of Brainrot. And in fact, because of that, I don't see it happening anymore. I genuinely believe the stupid thing that is Brainrot marks a significant point in how humor is going to develop for different generations in the future. Yeah, fucking Skibbity Toilet is marking how the future is going to develop. I'm just as appalled as you are. The thing is with these online platforms is that they have algorithms, if you want to call them that, and they're in place for a good reason. They serve people the content they want to see. simply put. They're not gonna show some 35-year-old construction worker skibbity toilet because they probably showed it to other people of a similar age and they didn't like it, so they're not gonna bother. Okay, the thing is, Brainrot has shown us Gen Alpha is getting its own humor circle, and Hawktua has showed us that millennials already have their own humor circle. It leads me to believe a future where I'm going to be irrelevant with the youth, and that makes me sad because I like being up to date with stuff, but I guess I'm doomed to being the uncle you send bad memes to. I imagine though that post-irony will still sort of seep its way into the crevices of the future generations of memes, but it probably won't be called that anymore. The point is, I'm kind of talking out of my ass and you shouldn't take this video too seriously. Memes are for fun, so let's just leave them like that. Subscribe!